and hello everyone, and welcome to Sable's WorldForge. We are once again using an entirely new stream setup, even though hopefully, because my hubby is amazing, it doesn't look like a new stream setup. But I am now using, what the hell am I using? Stream Elements now? OBS Live? So... The music was different during the intro. Yeah, it should be, because that is one thing that should be different. This is my Weird West music stream thing from Sirenscape. Tilt the camera down a bit, turn down the music. Okay. Okay, camera down, music turned down. Gotcha. Let's see here. Okay, how's that, guys? Better? Yeah, like I said, brand new setup, right? So I gotta screw with everything again. Real pain in my butt. Hello, Siobhan. Good to see you. Hi, James. First in the chat, as always. Hello, Amelie. Oh, I see your question. Okay, I'll get to it in just a sec. Yes, hello Eli, hello Satrium, hello Rowan, always good to see you. Good news everyone, says Eli. Reaper should be available in Barnes & Noble, Target, and other places soon. Yes! That is excellent. Glad to hear it. Eli says, I'm just waiting for the files to process so I can approve them. That's excellent. Still need to read Shirent Fox's books and the other one I won during her stream, says Amelie. Awesome. Awesome. Yep. Oh, there was an echo? There might be an echo. I had to install all the, sound things again, too, so... Hello, Calutan. Good to see you. Thank you for joining our crew, by the way. I saw that yesterday, and I really appreciate it. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you. Oh, and showcases right up the bat. So that's 2. We have 1 more slot left. That's it. Okay. Alright, so the balance of the audio is good now. Everyone's happy with it. Okay, that's it. 3. We're done. No more showcases, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. Awesome. Look forward to them. Rowan had a couple-hour voice chat last night. That's great. Author Goddess says, some days I want to quit writing, begin a revolution against the evils of Spectrum. Today is one of those days. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Hey, Stretch, good to see you. Oh, weird. Twitch. I don't understand them at all. Amelie says, when I open the stream once, I can never redeem Showcase, so I always have to open it again in another tab. That is bizarre. I don't understand it at all. I'm going to go back to James's question before we get too far ahead. He says, in my world, if you ask someone, where is the nearest porridge house, they would reply 512, meaning Zone 5, Segment 12. How do I give this information to a reader of my fiction without making my characters say zone and segment? Good question. Okay, this is one of those scenarios, you know how they always say show don't tell, right? Okay, there are always exceptions to every writing rule, and this probably is one of them, right? In this case, right, I would have somebody ask, so where's the nearest porridge house? And then have the other person respond 512, right? And then the original person who asked nods to himself, Zone 5, Segment 12, got it, right? And he thinks that, right, as like I would put that in italics myself, because that's how I tend to show a direct quote of a character's thoughts. Or you could also use quotation marks and then, you know, add he thought to himself, you know, and then he carries on to the porridge house, right? And then it's a little bit of explanation, like it's a little bit of info dump, but it's just a bit. And in some cases, that is more efficient and more effective to your story than trying to show something in more detail. So that's what I would do. So that's my thought. Okay. Yes, don't be afraid to break the rules when you have to. It's, there's a good rule at writing too. Oh, it's Stretch's birthday tomorrow. Cool. I will doing a special birthday painting stream in the evening. Okay, so book your calendars, guys. Stretch will be on. Put it on the unannounceable calendar, if nothing else, there, Stretch, so that people can find you and know when you're on. I will watch you if you're on, right? I just need to know. Yeah. Eli says, I just woke up from a nap. I woke feeling poorly, but I feel much better now. Well, see, you're among friends, right? So, that always makes me feel better. Thanks for the advice, lapping for life, says James. Thank you for asking. Good question. It's always a good question to ask, right? Like, there's always an exception every rule. Author Goddess says you could have signs or thoughts of what zone the character is in prior to that. Yeah, that's another way you could show rather than tell. Yep. If you want to know about code in books, read Tom Clancy. Does a lot of CIA stuff, etc. Yeah, actually, Tom Clancy is a good way to learn how to do that kind of stuff, right? I have a... Okay, right, everyone thinks probably I read only science fiction and fantasy, but it's not true. Actually, I read all kinds of stuff, right? And one of my guilty pleasures, along with westerns, right, is thrillers, right? Spy thrillers and stuff like that. So I read a lot of that, so hopefully I'm writing it effectively, you know? I'm gonna start at 7:30, says Stretch, as I'm officially 42 at 7:20. That's awesome. Oh, 42! Like 42. Cool. Do you have the answers to life, the universe, and everything? Yeah. Yeah, and then Dave was, yeah, Author Goddess's example is also good. Dave was strolling through Zone 3, enjoying the part that took up most of the second segment of the middle class area. Yeah, yeah, that helps, that kind of thing. That way you're kind of priming the reader to look for that kind of information. Satrium says, I just had another really tense D&D session. Need a bit of time to calm down. Tense D&D. Yeah, been there. Well, hopefully we're kind of chill today. This is cool. I'm just going to work on the costume challenge today. To be honest with you, I feel a lot of pressure for a lot of things that I'm way behind on getting done, but I can do none of them on stream, so I might as well do that. Right? So, yeah. So if I seem like I'm not enthusiastic about that today, that's why, right? Eli says, Sable, House Incendium has a pledge. I just need one more. Excellent. Excellent. Ponder's joining the arsonists. That's Author Goddess thinking about it. Yep, that's awesome. Emily says, all of your sessions are tense apparently, Satrium. Who are you killing every time? Alright. Getting close to one of the plot points of the whole campaign is what Satrium's saying. So yeah, legit. Sorry, James says, question, can I please have a story prompt that would be about my world? You have spent a lot of time working on the way the resources and infrastructure works in your world. Maybe something threatens that infrastructure, and then somebody has to, like, stop it, right? Or repair whatever it is that's screwing with it, right? Okay, so Jamie just discovered and pointed me in the direction of, and I've heard of it before, but I hadn't watched it yet. It's been recommended to me, but it's a show called, it's a Netflix show, right? It's called Love, Death, and Robots. Okay, if you are a science fiction fan like me, I urge you to go now. Now. Open up Netflix, right? Go click on that and get ready to watch it. End the stream, go watch that. No, but you know what I mean, right? Like it's really good, right? I'm so thrilled with it. It's like if you've ever seen like The Outer Limits or The Twilight Zone, it's kind of done like that. It's like little shorts, and but the thing about these little shorts is every one of them is brilliantly and beautifully animated in a variety of styles, which suits the genre and tone of whatever the story is, and every one of them is based on a short story who is written by a science fiction writer that you have heard of, who is probably one of the hottest science fiction writers on the market right now, right? And they hold nothing back, right? Unlike The Twilight Zone and The Outer Limits, who had to pitch shit to network television. This is Netflix. There is a lot of blood, right, in some of these episodes. There's stuff that made me, right, me, okay, me. I laughed through a bunch of horror movies, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? I was like, ugh, seriously, right? And, in other words, they tell the story, right? There's sex, there's whatever, right? They tell the story. They don't hold anything back. It's amazing. Okay, so what is the... Yeah, Save Dreams like, Love, Death, and Robots? Watch it now! It's great. Yeah, it's great. This is what I've always wanted a science fiction show to be and have never had, right? It's amazing, right? They're not making stuff that was, stories from 50 years ago like everybody else in fucking Hollywood or whatever. They're making stuff that is pertinent now, right? This is what science fiction looks like now. And it's incredible. Okay, so there's this one episode that I saw, right? It's called Suits. And this is why I brought it up, James. This is actually for you, right? In particular, I want you to go find and watch this episode, right? Because this is kind of where I'm going with this story idea, right? It's about a bunch of farmers, okay? Except, and they're redneck farmers, right? You'll find them anywhere in, Texas, Nebraska, Alberta, whatever. They're redneck farmers, okay? And I love them. They're so beautifully realized in such a short story. Only their farm is on an alien planet. And it's really cool, right? So that's kind of where I'm going with that, to give you an idea of the feel, not necessarily, what is responsible for it. I Sable as she lists all of the states I've lived in, says Author Goddess. Yeah, well, yeah. You're not a redneck. But not that I have anything against rednecks. I'll point out that Rowan is a redneck, and she's awesome. So, It's just, and I am a working class blue collar girl. Okay? And that's okay, right? There is nothing wrong with that. That's why I liked it. That's why I like this story. It's about real people. You've known these guys and these women. You've known them, right? You've met them. You'll recognize somebody. You'll go, that reminds me of so-and-so when you watch that particular episode. I'm thinking kind of like that. You're regular, everyday guys in your world, James, trying to deal with, whatever important point of infrastructure they have to deal with, and then something shitty happens and messes it up, and they have to try to undo the damage. Okay. Author Goddess says, I spend most of my 42nd year in quarantine. Sighs. Apparently my answer to everything is to hide from the world in terror of death. It's been a couple years, hasn't it? Brainstorm 15 minutes from Siobhan about fashion and help for my costume article. Satrim says, for reference, my character was forced into a deal with an ancient Cthulhu-like monster by circumstance this session. This can only end well, right? You know what? I think probably it's about time for me to put the sprint timer on. Oh, hello, Daz. Good to see you. The Red Army vs. Monsters episode of Love, Death, and Robots is very cool, says Kaitan. I saw that one too. Wow. Just wow. Yeah, it was awesome. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. Eli is trying to convince Author Goddess to join the Arsonist's house, which is cool. Author Goddess says, a major social symbol artifact is at risk of being stolen. Who wants to steal it and why? That's also a good story prompt. Emily suggested, show a student at school having to justify their choices of career. That's a good one for his world because of the way everything is so regimented in terms of what you end up doing. Yeah. Okay, fashion and help for your costume article. Honey, this is me. What the fuck do I know about fashion? Have you seen my outfits? Come on. Okay, but yes, go ahead and drop your info in the chat. We'll put up the sprint timer here, right? And we can count this as you brainstorm your 15 minutes, and I will open up my article about which I have done absolutely nothing. Turn down my main volume here a bit because this is pretty loud for me. Okay. Hello, Laria. Good to see you. How are you? Yeah. Captions are having issues? Okay. What's going on? Looks like it's working fine here. I'll refresh the page. Okay, trying that again. Thanks for all the story prompts, says James. You're welcome. That's what we do here. We're happy to help, right? That's what the community's all about. Looks like it's working on my monitor. Perhaps refresh the page, James? Okay. I'm going to go back to my article page here, and the dresses created by Francine. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay, says Author Goddess. I'm not a redneck, I'm a lumberjack. That's cool. Kayatan says, the episode Ice Age is also cool, to do with Love, Death, and Robots. It's about a couple which observes a civilization in their fridge. That's awesome! Okay, I haven't seen that one yet. I'm still working through it. Okay, so let's talk about Siobhan's dress article, her costume article, right? So far, this is what I have about the dresses. There are others here who can help. There were bolts of lavender, sapphire, dusty rose, and vermilion in silk, satin, and a light wool brocade. Or would you prefer the vermilion gown with all the petticoats? Dusty rose with off-the-shoulder sleeves and corset embellished with a kirtle of cream. Lavender and sapphire gown with corset. Dazzles with me. T-shirt, jeans for life. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I wear. Except when I have to go somewhere fancy. And every woman should own an LBD, and I do. But, yeah. Kaitan says basically that's the only good thing on Netflix is Love, Death, and Robots. Okay, fair enough. I don't know. I never watch Netflix usually either. Author Goddess asks, who is the gown for? Amelie says, I think you need to explain in the article the different layers worn by the person, i.e. petticoat, corset, chemisette maybe, then the dress. Yes. Yes. That is a good point. People might not know what those are. It would be a good idea to explain what those are. Yeah. Yeah, the gowns are for Eldrick, who is pretending to be a girl at the time. The designer, Francine, is like the top designer for dresses in her realm, basically, right? The culture is sort of Celtic Renaissance, as far as I can gather, at least by the description of the dresses and the materials used. Okay, Amelie says you have the materials and the colors already, so that's good. Then we need to know the style the dress is going to have. Right? You can look at fashion plates and decide the shape the dress should have, where the forms are going to be. Eli's like, I think my fashion sense is worse than Sable's, so I'm gonna go hunt down coffee. Yeah, legit. Author Goddess says if each gown is made for the individual, then the individual's body and personality should be considered heavily in the creation and type. And to be fair, Siobhan does describe that in this passage. I remember that specifically. But yes, you should also add that information to the article. Someone's already recommended Shadow and Bone to me, Kayatan, and it's on my list. I will watch it. Amelie says to Author Goddess, good point. Women have always adapted their clothes, and corsets and whatever the skirt below the dress is called, and puffs can be used to shape the body a bit. Which they will probably do with Eldrick, because they are trying to make him look more like a girl, right? So the corset will be designed to bring in his waist, right? And kind of imply more shape than he currently has at that time. Of course, knowing the outcome of the book, I say he, but, you know, we know, right? So, a riding dress with a straight corset meant to minimize busts, like that high French style from the 1800s. Belts and leather straps for carrying bags might be part of the design. Amelie says if you don't have the Regency style of dress, you can make pockets. Right. Kayatan says it might have been me who recommended Shadow and Bone. Could have been. I'm sure that's probably, it could well have been, but I may have heard it from a couple of people now. Yeah. I do intend to check it out. It's based on a novel that was very big in science fiction just a couple of years ago, so, like, it's really pertinent. I'm so excited about all the stuff that's being made about science fiction that's being written right now. One of my big complaints about Hollywood is that they keep recycling the same, 50-year-old stuff. Right? Okay, you know what? Heinlein's cool and so is Clark, but give me someone else for fuck's sakes, you know? Okay. Yeah, okay, so I would say my advice for your article there is, yes, describe the materials, right? You might want to describe, first of all, describe Francine's, right? Gowns by Francine, right? Why is Francine considered to be the most preeminent dressmaker in her time period, right? Like, how far is her distribution network? Like, how far will she travel in order to personally fit someone for a dress? Because she came to where Eldrick was, right? As I recall, right? How much do they cost? Who paid for it, right? Where do the materials come from? These are things to consider. By the description, you are describing a very Renaissance style of material and design. So I would be looking up stuff about Renaissance era dresses, or perhaps late period, like late period medieval France, right about the time that I like to write about, with the troubadours and the Albigensian Crusade and all that, right? High Middle Ages, right? That could be as well, right? Yeah, you can make an ad for Francine. Where does Francine advertise? You could find pictures on Pixabay, or you could make pictures on WorldForge that kind of illustrate the style of dresses that Francine makes. And if you have no ideas, you might want to start there, because that could give you ideas, right? Search Renaissance dresses Pixabay, right? And I'd suggest going with more Pixabay pictures if you can, because a lot of your focus in your description in the book is on the material, right? So you're looking at colors and texture and flow of the material, and that is not necessarily going to come across in WorldForge, right? So they don't seem to have them. Okay, you could try also Unsplash, and you could also try what is it? Publicdomainpictures.net. I will try a search here. Renaissance dress Pixabay. Let's try that. 100 plus free historical costumes and costume images. And this is medieval costume and images. So I'll open up both these pages, and you tell me what you think would be more suited. Now you gotta poke through it, obviously, because there'll be masculine as well as feminine fashions, right? You're right. That does seem to be a very limited selection. And mostly it's male clothing. And that's a steampunk outfit. That has nothing to do with... Well, I guess it's sort of Renaissance. Oh, fuck you. What are you doing? Yeah, that's totally a steampunk outfit. That has nothing to do with Renaissance. Alright, let's try medieval. What do you think of something like that? Yeah, period paintings would also be good, yeah. That's a good idea, Emily. Let me know anything that, like, you know, if something strikes your fancy there, Siobhan. This is a nice one. And on a thinner, taller woman, too. So... Oh, come on, what are you doing? But let's reopen the page then. Okay, so it's not entirely period, obviously. Alright. That'd be low cut. I love the velvets and the lacing in this. That might be... This would also have the advantage of being an effect, like you could fight in that, right? That would not be awkward to fight in. You could work with that. There's a nice one that shows an excellent use of satin and linen. And that's the sprint, gang, for those of you who are sprinting. This sounds a lot like some of what you're describing. I would I don't know. Here, I'll start dropping some links. And I'll put it in the chat. There's that dress. I love it when the chat bot tells me my own chat rules. Okay. Yeah, you sure can. There you go. There's the link. That was the only one you liked so far? The bossy bot is a rules lawyer, says Daz. Legit. I mean, you've got a very clear vision of what things should look like in your head. So if none of these work, then that's like totally legit. Laria says, I have used WorldForge to get an idea and pictures of what I want. It's not perfect, but it could be a good approximation. Yeah? Okay. Alright. Then... Okay, let's try... What am I doing here? Okay, meh... Is this typing something that it shouldn't be? Okay, there we go. Actually, we'll try Renaissance paintings because you know what we should be looking for? I know what we should be looking for. Because this isn't... These dresses are all going to be too high cut, I think. Billowy and blousy. And you can conduct that search yourself later. So... let's try... fantasy dresses, Pixabay. going to pure fantasy land here. What do you think of that one? Brocade? Silk? Low cut, long sleeves. Yes? Okay. Fairy tale dress fantasy. I don't think that's what you're going for, but maybe it is. This is a really nice use of like chiffon. Okay, back to work. Says the guy. Thank you for the translation help for Eli there, Calutown. That's awesome. Good job, Bob. Good to see you. Bob says, I just finished up an article that will eliminate 95% of the wait. Let me look that up. Interruptions in a Pathfinder 2 game session. That's excellent. Okay, so at this point, I think the 15 minutes are up there, Siobhan, and I got showcases and I got to get some stuff done too. So I'm going to say search fantasy dresses Pixabay on Google, and then you can look up individual pictures from there. And you might also try fantasy dresses public domain image. There. And that might help too. It didn't store my... Oh, Aaron. Okay. Aaron forgot to select loop on my timer. Okay. Yeah, and I hear from the back, sorry, babe. It's fine. It's cool. Yeah, we're set up on Stream Elements OBS Live now, and this is the first time I've used it today. Aaron kindly, and I really do appreciate it because he's my superhero, and I would not have had time to do it. It's been a crazy couple of weeks, but he set this up for me, right? So, thank you for doing it, honey, and that's awesome. And, of course, there's going to be some things I'm going to have to tweak, and that's fine, So thank you for your help with that, Bob. I appreciate it. I don't think I've dropped a frame, have I, guys? Okay, there is a lot of stuff in the chat to catch up on. I think I have to actually open my file manager thing now to do the... It's been good, really clean. Okay, awesome. Awesome. I'm very glad to hear that. Okay, definitely worth the effort then. Excellent. My lack of stress will be 100% brilliant. Okay. All right. Now, I see that I missed a big conversation. Laria asked, I wonder if someone would decide to touch Pern. I think it's something I both desire and dread at the same time. Okay, the problem with Pern is that it keeps getting locked in development hell, right? This has been going on for years, right? Somebody buys the rights, wants to do something with it, figures out how expensive it's going to be, ultimately, decides not to do it, lets the rights go. Each of these taking at least 10 years in these cycles to do. Right? It's been kind of in discussion and in development forever. I don't know if we're ever going to see Pern. Lots of people have tried. And then there's a matter of disagreements over licensing, right? Anne McCaffrey was very adamant about a lot of the things that should be done with her world. One of the big principles behind Pern, which I bet people didn't even think about necessarily until somebody pointed out to them, is that there is no religion and no war. Right? There can be conflicts, there can be, obviously Thread creates its own conflict, right? The imminent threat of survival, there's been plagues, there's lots of stories, but there's been no war. Right? Which I think is a wonderful concept. That's really interesting. And so her son, her eldest, who owns the rights now that she's gone, right, has been adamantly defending that. So Hollywood doesn't like things with no war. Maybe that's one of the sticking points. And they can go fuck up a tree as far as I'm concerned, because I would personally rather never see Pern on screen than see it screwed up. So that's me. And I'm a lifelong fan, right? So. Okay, Author Goddess suggests Edwardian, like in Midsummer Night's Dream with Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah, that's... I think she's going for a pseudo-fantastical Edwardian medieval Renaissance kind of thing. So, that's cool. Kat says, does Siobhan start by explaining everything that's the same in every dress, number of layers, or course, set of the type of petticoat, common enchantments, etc., then go into the differences between the dresses in a way that shows Francine's creative mood? Yep, that's very useful. Cayetan says, sorry for being the person talking about something else. No, it's fine. I'm still interested in the topic. Right? The only thing that bothers me in Shadow and Bone is the presence of the romance subplot. And from what I saw online, a love triangle is quite important. And why, people? Why? Not everything needs that. Okay. Thank you for touching on one of my soapboxes. Hollywood is convinced that everything must have a romantic subplot. I do not agree. And most of the preeminent writers of science fiction and fantasy right now do not agree. Right? Also, fans do not agree. But this is one of those things where, it is known, right? Publishing and art production are among the most opaque industries in the world. And there's a lot of myths that perpetuate because people think they know it. Right? No, you don't need a romantic fucking subplot for every goddamn thing. Right? And yeah, I would like it if more people would know that. Give special effects a couple more years before you beg for Pern, says Rowan. I don't agree. I think we're ready. You should see some of this animation in Love, Death, and Robots. I think we're ready. we could have Pern. Right? Between that and Marvel, we are ready. The tech is up to it. Combine a lot of CGI with the technical, practical effects. It could happen. It could be really good. I think maybe one of the sticking points might be trying to portray the telepathic communication. I don't know. Amelie says to Cayetan because it's based on a young adult romance. Fair enough. Right? Rowan says because people like to see love conquer all. It makes them warm and fuzzy inside. Yep, also true. But you know what? There are other stories to tell. There's more to the human experience. Now, granted, I tend to write romantic subplots. One of the reasons I don't shoehorn them though, right? Like they'll develop. and then I'll just acknowledge them and include them in the book. And it doesn't necessarily mean that love does conquer all, though. Sometimes love does not conquer all in my worlds. Yeah, but the kind that became popular after Twilight and Hunger Games, so love triangle is mandatory, says Emily. Coffee is billing a superhero romance that that they're writing as where being poly is the answer, is the solution, not the problem, right? And I'm like, give it to me. Grabby hands. It doesn't always have to be a triangle, you know? Like, there are other stories to tell. I agree. You know, sometimes we need other stories, right? Try Elizabethan, says Rowan. I wouldn't suggest Elizabethan for an inspiration for Siobhan because there's too much material and too many pieces to the dress. You would never be able to get low cut even if you wanted to, right? It sounds to me like, I mean, you can't even move in the things, right? Having, you know, owned a pseudo Elizabethan dress, right? So, I mean, they're very pretty, but I don't think they're what she's looking for. Hey Satoru, good to see you. You're right, Google was never stated to be foolproof. If you can't find what you're looking for on Google, try Quaint, Kwant. Because it doesn't put you in an information ghetto. It doesn't go, oh, you obviously are, you know, you're from Canada, so clearly you want to know everything about American stuff. And, oh, we would like to propagandize all the American stuff first, so we're just not going to, even when you type in British Royal Navy, we're going to show you like 5 or 6 entries worth of American military stuff before we're going to show you anything about the British Royal Navy, right? No, it doesn't do that. So... Author Goddess says, I agree. I refuse to put romance into the rune spells because that is not the point of the character. That's not the story there. Yeah, and she's taken heat for it too. Everyone's like, well, she's a female protagonist, right? So she's got to have a romantic subplot, right? No, she fucking does not. She doesn't need it. Nicola is like complete in and of herself. Doesn't need it. Not required. Yeah. And Emily is saying, I'm not saying that I like it. I don't read young adult, no matter how popular. This is a big reason why. I love romance, but not the way they do it. Yeah, nobody is saying that it's your fault, for sure, or that you're arguing the point that it should be, but that is the perception, is what you're saying. Yeah, and it is. Yeah, there are young adult books without romance, but somehow the fantasy part of the genre insists on romance. You know what I miss? I miss books like The Hero in the Crown and The Blue Sword. No romantic subplot, not until the very end of the second book, and by that time, she had already well established herself as a hero. Hello, Rabbit Candy Boy. Good to see you. Sorry it took me so long to get there. I was doing a brainstorm session with Siobhan. Yeah. Twilight has forced a pattern of writing upon the young adult, especially girls, young adult genre. Quite frankly, if I were, knowing who I was at 12, I would not be reading girls, young adult at all. I would be reading the boys' stuff. I would have no interest at all. I was not about romance stories. I wanted stories about girl heroes taking up swords and slaying dragons. That's what I wanted. Or writing them. I'm with you, Moon. Young adult is an audience, not a genre, and I don't know who I must scream it to, but it's necessary. That's true. Absolutely. Genres are a totally different animal. But yeah, there's certain trends in young adults that are forcing things. Yeah. Right on, Rabbit Candy Boy. Good for you. So I'm planning on doing my second stream after this stream. Good luck. Maybe we'll come peek in. DM Stretch. Oh, you poor boy. What is Pern? Pern is a book series by Anne McCaffrey, says Eli Quake. Kind of one of the groundbreaking fantasy sci-fi series. Yes. Okay, so in every generation, you're allowed to have one female science fiction writer, right? In Anne McCaffrey's generation, it was her, right? And the thing about Pern, right, is that, okay, it looks like fantasy, and it's often put in the fantasy section, but there is no fantasy in it. Everything is 100% pure science fiction, right? Like, her dragons were genetically engineered from ancient colonists on an alien world, right? And they came from Earth, and this is several thousand years in the future, right? But basically, it's about a world where there is an invasive life form that destroys the planet in cyclical, because it has a weird orbit, right? And the planet that the colonists settled on when they came from Earth, right, which was, they didn't know about this when they got there because it was out of its cycle, and when it did happen the first time, it trashed a bunch of their technology and their records, but they were able to preserve their biological engineering stuff, so they engineered dragons to fight this from a creature that existed on the planet at the time, right? So, and then but they're sentient, right? And they have to be in a bond with people to channel, like, their instincts towards the purpose that they're supposed to be created for. So there's a bond between rider and dragon, and it's been, I mean, that's where all the dragon riding tropes come from. She invented them, right? So okay. Eli says, I'm with you, Sable. Pern is one of my first series, and I'd rather not see it than to see it polygonized. Yep, with you. Yeah. Loria says, don't feel bad, Stretch. I discovered Pern at the end of last year. I have devoured 16 of its books since then. I suggest you take a look at them. Everything must have a romantic subplot. Every conflict is an armed battle. I think that was in response to other things. I will warn you that if you're not into romantic subplots, Pern might not be for you, right? There are a lot of them, right? Yeah. Not that I'm saying that that's a bad thing. These are adult books. There are young adult books and there are adult books. And actually, the young adult books have a very minimal romantic subplot, which doesn't appear until much later, right? So, romantic fucking subplot. Hollywood often emphasizes the fucking. Yeah. Not in young adult, but yeah. Moonflower says those are more misconceptions than anything, I think, Loria, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't write one of the stereotypical books if you want to. Look, there's nothing wrong with the romantic subplot, right? I just don't think it's obligatory, right? Write the story, right? Write whatever the story is. Don't shoehorn shit into the story that isn't part of the story. That's all I'm saying. I like romantic subplots. I write them a lot, right? But if they're not needed, don't put them in there, right? And I'm happy to read books where there aren't any romantic subplots. I especially like reading books about female protagonists who do not require men to make them complete, you know? So, yeah. Yes. Okay, the telepathy argument, legit, right? Eli says, yeah, the telepathy can be erg. Hollywood does not do the best with telepathy, right? Kalyatan says, telepathy can be done with off-screen sound. Sort of, right? Author Goddess points to Galadriel and Lord of the Rings. Hollywood can do it, it just needs to choose to do so. Yeah, again, you've got to really spend some time on it, right? Like, you've got to, like, focus on the character's eyes who is projecting the telepathy, right? Which could be difficult for looking at a dragon's eyes. It may be difficult to read expression. I don't know. I'm just saying. Bob's like, Stretch, never heard of Dragon Riders of Pern? 10 points from House of Varangia. No, you know what? It's totally cool. I miss things too, right? Maybe Pern wasn't a big deal in the UK, guys, right? A lot of us are coming at it from a North American perspective, right? And certainly it was not often marketed to boys, right? So... Okay, I'm way behind on the chat, so I'm gonna skip a bunch of stuff. I hope you guys don't mind. Okay, I agree with Amelie. I love a romantic subplot in a story. It's just annoying when, one, it takes over the plot, two, it's shoehorned in because the author has to, and it has no link with anything that's going on. Yes. Don't do that. I don't approve. Yeah. Just, it's a waste of time. Hollywood, get over it. Eli is yelling joy for Robin McKinley because I mentioned the blue sword and the hero of the crown. Yep. Rowan says, yeah, one of my favorite series ever and one that made me start writing. Yep, me too. Author Goddess points out that in her Runespell series, Nicola is a pagan mom of two with PTSD and little support network, surrounded by racist conservative Christians. She hasn't the time for romantic crap. Yep, legit. Now, my erotica series is about the romance nookie. Yep, that is her Hot Fae Nights series. Yep. Okay guys, I gotta take a break. So I'm gonna put up the break timer. If this is working right, Aaron has now configured it so that my timer, I don't know whether I told him not to or not. He offered to, and I don't remember what I said, but he offered to make the timer just keep functioning. So hopefully it does. If not, we got good timing anyway. Aha! See, so the sprint timer is now functioning independently from the break timer. I will be right back in a few minutes, guys. Yeah, we're being way too talkative tonight. Yeah, it's true. Honestly, it's because I am distracted. My brain is working on a bunch of stuff that I need to do that I can't do on stream. So I am not feeling my costume article, and I am kind of procrastinating. So I should get back to work when I get back. In the meantime, I am going to mute the mic and I'm going for a break. I'll see you in a minute. have got to remember to turn off my closed captioning when I leave the room. Okay, I'll be right back in just a second, guys. Alright. I'm back, gang. I was starting work on my my article here. We're about to hit the break timer. Am I still muted? That's the sprint. In the chat, I'm going to catch up on the chat stuff here. I'm sort of into my second Cimmerillions background material too. There, Bob, I feel your pain. No, I'm not. Not second Cimmerillion. No. Cimmerillion's a lot. Yeah. Bob said, seriously, I took stock of where I was in regard to products for publication. I've got 6 things between 50 and 75% written, and another 9 somewhere between I've got an idea and okay, I can call that started. Yep. Eli pointed out that she started reading the young adult books, which is the Harper Hall trilogy, right, in the Pern series, and then started reading the Dragon Rider books, and her mother had a cow, right, and she was 12. So I was 10 when I started reading Stephen King. I think I've told that story before. And my mother finally gave up stopping me reading it and assured that I understood it was just a story, and then went and got me an adult card at the public library, which she signed for and said I could read anything I wanted to, right? Which was a life-changing experience and a really good thing that she did for me, and I will never forget that she did that. That was an amazing thing, right? I did the same thing with the Pern novels. My guess is your mother was unhappy because there was some description of sex and that there were gay people in it. Right? Remember, this book was written in like the 70s and early 80s, right? These books, so way progress at the time. Some of the stuff that she does is a little dated, right? The way dragon riders get on, right? Because of the way dragons get on, creates certain consent issues, right? But, I mean, I argue that an alien world has its own rules, and so does an alien species. I'm not a big fan of Todd McCaffrey either. I find him dry. However, and Jamie agrees with me, but I haven't read it yet. Apparently, her daughter, whose name I forget, also McCaffrey, wrote a book called The Dragon's Code in the Pern series, and he said that was fucking great. So, if you feel that way, give that one a try. I trust his opinion. You know what? I gave away my Pern books, and then I bought them all back. Because I thought that was a dumb idea. I keep liking to reread them. Stretch says, I'm loving the Spanish guitaring. This is the called Wild West Town music from Sirenscape. I thought it was really appropriate for doing Weird West work, so. Okay, young adult, new adult, and adult books. And middle grade books. Okay, so once upon a time, back in the days of yore, right, which was just falling out of fashion as I became of the age to read this, so, you know, some 50 years perhaps, right, there was a category called juveniles, right, and juveniles were written for middle grade to some young adult. And then after that, everything was adult books, right, and that's how it went. I think this actually may have worked better, right? Parents had to be a bit more specific about what they would allow their children to read, depending, but, I mean, you know, it worked, right? Then they invented the young adult category, which, I think it was originally intended to be between juvenile and adult. Right? Stuff that was sophisticated enough to engage the mind of an older, you know, a teenager, right? As opposed to like a preteen, right? Or an early teenager. So this would be later teenagers, but maybe didn't have all the sex and violence, right? Okay. And then, like Emily says, that category sort of got like mixed up. So they created middle grade to replace the juveniles, which had been replaced by the young adult because it kind of infiltrated. And then they had new adult, and new adult is stuff that maybe has, it's a bit more sophisticated than young adult. It's got some sex, some violence, but not, it doesn't go full Game of Thrones territory, and it isn't like, and that's the get back to work growl, by the way, so I'm going to shut up in a minute. And yeah. Right, so yeah, if the lines feel muddy, that's why. My suggestion is look up what the current publishing industry standard thinks and work for that. New adult is kind of a transition for late teens to early college kids, right? I personally, I can't read middle grade. Everything else is fine depending on the book. Alright, so that said, what am I doing here? It's after 2. I should do a showcase. I should also do some work. Oh yes, I was going to put up a poll. That's what I'm doing. As you guys know, we've achieved 500 followers. That means we're going to have a 500 follower celebration stream. You guys get to vote on when you would like it to be. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. Your options are going to be Monday afternoon at basically the same time I do these streams, or Saturday night for me, right? So I hope all our European buddies have not gone home yet, because I want you to have a vote, and we're at like 20 views here. Okay. And let's see, so I'll need dates. Yeah, that's me too, Eli. Hero on the Crown had a dragon on the cover, and I was sold. And then I was sold on the author for life. I discovered the Hero on the Crown because it was up for a Scholastic Reader's Choice Award, and I was one of the people who had registered to vote on those, thanks to my school librarian also being really awesome and realizing that I was an advanced reader and really encouraging me to explore greater things in reading. He suggested a whole bunch of classics of children's literature to me that were fantastic. He got me started on reading Greek myths, right? And I got to vote in the Scholastic Choice Awards, and so I read all that stuff, right? Anything that was up for a Scholastic Award, I had the option of reading it. I never managed to read them all, but I read most of them, and The Hero in the Crown was like one of the books that was up for an award, if I remember correctly. It was awesome. Yeah, Soul for Life, me too. Okay, 28. Sorry about that. And that'd be, oh god, what time? Right, well, that's 7 hours, right? So it's like 3 stupid o'clock in the morning, isn't it? 8, 4, it's 9, 12, and then, yeah. Alright, so I'm putting up the poll. Let me know when you would like the thing to be. The dates there are dates in May, obviously. It'll say Monday 24, 1 p.m. PDT, 8 p.m. UTC. And then the other one is Friday 28, right? Obviously, I mean May 24th or May 28th, right? 8 p.m. PDT, 3 a.m. UTC. Here's the poll. I'm running it for 10 minutes. Place your bets. Make your votes. Whichever one wins, that's what I'm doing. Yes, in Pern, yes, technology was rediscovered, not advanced from scratch. No, that's true, because if that's what we're talking about, yeah. Never give away a book, says Emily, yes. To be fair, I gave them to Siobhan. Cayetan asked, why did I earlier call Shadow and Bone sci-fi? It's fantasy. I probably said sci-fi fantasy, and I said it really fast. James says I'm awesome and gave me a bit. Thank you. Yeah, Eli's feeling the pull of marketing versus writing. Big problem with indie writers. I struggle with it too. I'm in the middle of it. Okay. Yeah! Yeah, that is true. Mine were burnt up in a fire, says Siobhan. What Siobhan isn't saying is that her nasty parents decided that that was inappropriate for her to read and convinced her to burn the books. Because they were, like, really adamant evangelical Christians. Yeah. So I gave her mine. And then I went, I miss those books, and I bought more copies. Eli, I was laughing because this was me, totally, right? My early days of reading were, like, yeah, we're like, oh look, a dragon, I should like this, and I was usually right. Yep, that's me, 100%. It had a dragon, I was reading it. Yeah, $15,000 worth of books, yep. Rowan says, I keep some specific books just for giving away, usually copies of The Warrior's Apprentice and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Good books to give away. Okay. I think I gotta do some showcases here. I believe James was first. Porridge House. Here is his link. Oh, why do I keep clicking the wrong thing? Okay, there we go. Yeah! Book burning should be a capital offense. Yeah, I mean, it is offensive in all caps. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Emily says, I went onto the internet and looked at lists of books with dragons and bought them all. Wasn't an option at that age, but I did go to the bookstore and grab anything that had a dragon on it in paperback. Pocketbook paperback. I think Monday is going to win. Actually, I'm encouraged by that. That's cool. Okay, so James's link. Here we go. Porridge House. Location. Most famous establishment is located in 512, but others can be found in various locations. And he included Zone 5, Segment 12. You know what I might do for this style of noting location there, James? I might put a dash between them. 5-12. Right? And that shows that they're connected, but that they're not 512, right? And I like your tooltip, that's helpful. Establishment type, majority breakfast eatery, but open all day. Read the document. So this is probably a menu. Yes. Takeaway minus 50 NS. Okay, drinks. I'm not going to read out the whole menu, I don't think. Hot chocolate, hot honey, powdered cold drinks, orange juice, apple juice. Food porridge with 2 toppings, extra toppings 20 NS each. With your choice of toppings, out of season toppings will be canned. Yep. Almonds, cinnamon, dried cherries, dried cranberries, ginger, golden syrup, honey, maple syrup, nutmeg, pecans, pistachios, raisins, salted bacon, walnuts, white or brown sugar. Pancakes with your choice of topping from the porridge section, and salted bacon bagel. Sounds tasty. Did you include stuff like cinnamon, nutmeg? Oh yeah, you got nutmeg. You do have cinnamon. Okay, yes, I was reading it out with not really commuting it in my brain. Okay. No, that's cool. That sounds good. I like porridge. Eli's like, wait, I just realized it's halfway through May. How did this happen? It was just January 2 weeks ago, or 2 minutes ago. Yeah, I'm feeling the press too, right? And I keep pushing back my Kickstarter. It now looks like the Kickstarter is going to start in the middle of June, not the beginning. I'm not ready. So, a porridge house is like a waffle house, but instead of serving waffles, it serves bowls of porridge. The establishment is run like a cafe, so the customer orders at a desk and is handed a number, and they can choose where to sit as their order is made. History. The first porridge house opened in the UK in 2008 CE. While not originally serving porridge, the first winter of their operation, they served porridge. That sentence, we've got a lot of repetition here. The porridge, the porridge, the porridge, the porridge. Well, not, okay, the first, how about saying what they originally did serve, right? Instead of, well, not originally serving porridge. The first winter of their operation, they served porridge, right? Say, What? Moonflower says, did someone just spend 20,000 channel points to get the second option up there? Now I've got to look. Holy cow. This is an aggressive vote, guys. Holy. Okay, that's cool. Alright, so yeah, maybe say something about the kind of thing they originally served. They first served porridge in their first winter. Would also be good enough, right? After the bit... and then we've repeated after the first winter. That's the script. The first winter of their operation is when... Okay, they first served porridge in the first winter of their operation. The popularity of the porridge continued into the year and spread across a country outside of the southeast. Or a county outside the southeast. Word got out that the porridge at these establishments was of higher quality, so these became hubs for the community and expanded further into other counties. That's how I would put it, right? Myself. Wow. Hee, I don't know who that would be, says Stretch. Moon says there were 20 people who voted number 1 and 2 for number 2. I'm keeping Monday up with channel points, says Gayadad. That's hilarious, guys. Eli says, I mean, a lot of us have a lot of channel points. That's true. I should probably make these showcases cost more. I might raise the price on them. Okay. Stretch has 200,000 channel points. Moon has 70k. Author Goddess makes porridge with rice and barley as well as oats. Yeah, legit. Whatever, says Moon. I'm not coming if Friday wins, though. Because that's 11 p.m. That's why there's a vote, guys, right? I don't know what time works best for everybody. These are the times that I'm personally available to do it. So I'm letting you guys decide what is best for you and the community. I probably should have just said everybody should get one vote. Jeez, you guys are just being assholes now. Alright, Monday 1. So, jeez, guys, holy crap. Well, it's like Mondays are usually my town days. Well, that's why it had to be up to the community. I'm sorry, guys, if your day did not win out. Honestly, it sounds like I'm gonna make somebody unhappy no matter which one I do. Aaron says, I tried for Friday with 9,000 points. It is what it is. I will live, says Rowan. Okay. Okay. Do both. I'll donate books to 2 streams. My brains will leak out my ears, and I will probably die of exhaustion. That's awesome of you, but I don't know if I can. Twitch, the only place where it's legal to rig votes. I probably shouldn't have allowed channel points, eh? Than the USA. Okay, I'm gonna go back to James's article now. Seriously, if you guys are really opposed to Monday the 24th, then let me know. Monday is a long weekend for me. I believe that's the Victorian Day long weekend. So that's the Victoria Day long weekend. So that's one of the reasons why it's a good day. But yeah, basically Monday and Friday are the only 2 days that I have that are good to spend a lot of time for something that's going to take a lot of, you know, a lot of hype, a lot of energy, right? Because it's supposed to be a positive thing, and, you know, it's not really about the actual time scheduled more than it's about my spoons. So okay, I'm going back to the... Yes. Yeah, exactly. Location. By the way, love the design. Looks great. I get a really good feel of how it works in this Minecraft illustration, James. That's great. Location. Well, currently, most are found, you need the word "are" there, around Zone 4. A notable porridge house is found in 512. The market zone. Yeah, that makes sense. This is established here as to be nearer to a train station within the area. The plan for the business owner was to attract employees going on their commute that may have forgotten or foregone breakfast. Very sensible. Layout. Within the layout of the porridge house is an open plan all on one layer. I would say the porridge house is laid out in an open plan on one layer. A typical porridge house has one large rectangular table for larger parties that has tavern-style seating with 2 benches. This large table could seat 10 people, but multiple parties are welcome to use the table. The porridge house also has smaller tables that can seat up to 2 people with chairs. Limited for image left. Clientele. The clientele of the porridge house leads to the working and lower end of the middle classes. Okay. I wasn't sure if leads was the right word there, but that depends, I suppose, on location and expression. I would say tends to. That's what I would say. Good point, Author Goddess. Lots of people, especially in the States, don't know what porridge is. A tooltip might be needed for the culinarily ignorant. Porridge is oatmeal, right? Says Kayatan. It can be, but it can also be... A porridge is basically a wet mixture of any grains, right? You could be eating, you know, barley, or, you know, technically, or like wheat porridge, or technically a bunch of rice that's, you know, in a bowl with like a rice pudding is a porridge in a way. It's not necessarily oatmeal, is what Author Goddess is pointing out, and that's true. Here, I'll show you. Porridge. Food made of oatmeal or some other meal or cereal, which, you know, basically, you know, grains, right? Boiled to a thick consistency in water or milk. Is a grain cooked in milk or water, most often oats, but can also be wheat, corn, barley, or rice, hides lentils in the garbage. Heresy! Proper porridge is with porridge oats, says Stretch. And yes, that's legitimate, and even though it's not in common, I mean, we tend to eat oatmeal almost exclusively as porridge now in most of the North America anyway, I don't know about anywhere else, probably in the UK too, because obviously that's where we got it, right? It, you know, may not be, and in the Middle Ages often wasn't, right? Okay. Menu. A typical menu can be found above the sidebar of this article using the Read the Document button. Drinks. Drinks of both temperatures are mostly powders. The exception to this, not of this, being honey, to make them more transportable. The drinks are popular in the porridge house, even though they can make the drinks themselves at home. The hot chocolate is derived from carob and not chocolate. That's interesting. Yeah, while they both taste the same, the carob can be locally sourced from Portugal. This is so if the transportation distance is lowered, securing the transportation from pirates. Securing cargo the shipment from pirates or the cargo from pirates. Food. While it is true the porridge house does other options for food, comma, they are not it is not, because other options is plural, and so the pronoun must agree with the noun, right? As the porridge itself. Other options range from bagels to pancakes. All options have a takeaway option. We would call that takeout in North America, right? With the added price of 50 new sovereigns. This is to discourage taking away food to save on resources. Gotcha. Further information, new sovereigns, the great day of celebration, menu references, golden syrup, carob, Minecraft, your usual awesome credits list. Yeah, this is really cool, James. I got a really good idea here. I don't think it would hurt you to include a bowl of tasty-looking porridge. Let me see if I can find that somewhere for you. Let's see. Porridge. Public domain image. So anything here that is from publicdomainpictures.net is a public domain picture that you can use. Credit the artist in your description, but that's easy enough. So this one is a public domain pictures image, right? So is that one. I can show you bigger pictures of these actually, and I will. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Here we go. Because you can't really see that there. I mean, this is just plain porridge here. Ah, oatmeal images, alright. Oh, there's one with bananas in it. That looks good. Ah, nope, those are all ads. Okay, so this one would be like actually a public domain image. Well, that's got butter in it. That looks tasty. I didn't know if anybody put butter in porridge. I don't see why not, though, I suppose. Here's an oatmeal picture from Wikimedia Commons. They require more attribution stuff, so I try to avoid them unless they're my last resource, right? But yeah, maybe a picture of a nice bowl of porridge. That would look good. Let's see if that... No, this is all professional stock photos, so if it says anything under this, professional stock photos from $1, that means they, you know, want money for it. So I would use the really nice raisins image that we saw myself. I think I got it from here. No, I got it from here. This one. I don't think so. So far, that'd be my candidate right there. Or, because that looks really tasty. Me personally, I'm making suggestions. I'm not telling you what to do. Obviously. Looks like I got the same list here. Okay. So yeah. Or James can make some porridge and take a picture. Then it will look like exactly what he wants. Yep, I've done that too. when I make up recipes, I always cook them and then I take a picture of them, right? So any picture that appears on any of my recipe articles, I made it. Yet there might be a lot of decent pictures on the Pixabay license. That's also legit. All right, James, that was a great article. Here, let me show you. Let's see. Real Toysoldier Sable. There, I made that. It's basically a quiche with hot peppers. It's really good. It's called Rill. Here's the link if anybody wants it. I include everything I did to cook it. I am not a master chef, but... Oh, Master Chef, the brand. Yeah, well... Of the cutting board, yeah. Author Goddess ponders making up 6 quarts of rice and oat porridge. I know, right? Now I want porridge too. Did the dingy thing ding and I not hear it? Do I not have the... Thank you, by the way, for the bit. Oh, yeah, I see. Okay, so honey, since I know you're watching, when we're done, we're gonna have to add the overlay sounds because I'm not hearing the dingy things, and that's where they are. Now I want rills, says Aaron. You know what we need? We need pie shells and... Oh, wait a minute. No, you might have to check and see if we have cheese. I don't think we have the right cheese, but we do have some cheese. I think we have the banana peppers too. So, I know I want real now too. Okay, make it go away. Alright. Introduction to the Alternative Timeline from Emily. Was that before or after Author Goddess? Let me look. You know what? Actually, if you're not in a hurry there, Author Goddess, I think I will do Emily's first because I know she's in Europe and has to go to bed, right? So... Oh, there's a ding. Okay, it was just delayed. Oh, thank you. Oh, okay, I see. Cool. All right. Thanks for letting me know. Actually, there, James, I appreciate that. I'm glad to help, and okay, cool. I'm just making sure my stuff's working. So, all right. This is her Dragon Rider's flight suit. Did I look at this already? I thought I did. I may be mixing it up with something else. Oh, hey, Changeling, how are you? Yeah, orcs and their peppers. It's food. Alright. So what was the poll result? Was it Monday? Is what we decided? We'll look at the results. It'll also break down the percentage of the vote for me. So I'll be able to tell. 9 people. 9 people made 226 votes with a total of 21,700 channel points. Okay. Is the music still too loud? Or was it just that I was away from the mic? I'm just double checking. Because I did ask at the beginning of the stream if everything was adjusted. Still a bit loud, okay. Is that better? Turn it down just a little bit. hopefully. Yes, it's Emily's article. Yes, she's up late because she stays up late to watch my stream because she's awesome that way. I think it's fine. Okay. All right. Moon started thinking she needs to mess with her equalizer. Maybe so. Ah, procrastination. Yes. Okay. And that's the sprint. I'm going to jump right into Emily's article. They tend to be long. Okay. Introduction to the alternative timeline. I guess I should include the link, shouldn't I? This one's only about 1K. Alright. Very short for me. Yeah, I know. You and me are the same, so. The world of the engineering corps is set in a world with magic in an alternative France in the 1840s. This article presents a list of the main alterations compared to real history. No colonization. In 1433, China stopped its big naval explorations due to their enormous costs. This left the Europeans free to become the masters of the ocean and to develop some unique water and weather-based magic. However, people living on a land will have a magical link with it. This link makes it easier to perform some kind of magic on this land, as well as to use the magic of the land to repel invaders. Because of this, colonization of other continents has been impossible. Although intermarriages have taken place, the children produced by such marriages have mixed loyalties and have proven reluctant to obey some faraway monarch. One of the problems that led to the dismantling of the colonization system anyway. Okay. Good night, Moonflower. Have a good rest. Thanks for joining me. See you later. Allergies today. Okay. Nevertheless, despite its undeniable power, this link with the land is also diffuse. This means that one European is linked to the whole European continent, rather than just their own country, and so Europeans can still attempt to conquer each other, but only within certain limits, as Napoleon has learned to his own cost. Or at his own cost. Nice. Instead of colonizing other continents, that's a plural there, European travelers have established alliances with them, and with their permission, I would put a comma after permission, a few of them have settled in specific quarters in some of their port cities. However, they are very much there only on tolerance only, and keeping good relationships with their host is essential. It is common for rival European countries to attempt to sway the host to their own side. So, like an extended diplomatic corps. These are very beautiful pictures. French history. The flag of the Kingdom of France by Aron Nodag, and French Royal Coat of Arms by Louis de Lobin. Nice. Very pretty. And historical, I know. It's just I really like their rendering, actually. Okay. King Lucien. Or Lucien. This is not an official flag. Oh, I guess not, eh? Sure is pretty. After the Revolution of 1789 and the execution of King Louis XVI in 1793, France opted to establish an elective constitutional monarchy. However, this triggered a series of wars against a coalition of other European countries who wanted to reinstate the royal family on the throne. Pretty much what happened, really. Yeah, it's the one that was proposed for another restoration of the monarchy, but we went with the Third Republic, so it's semi-official. Okay. I thought I'd seen it before somewhere, so cool. Thank you for the information, because they don't teach us to parse that, right? So, okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Thus, the first elected kings of France were military leaders, culminating with the election of Napoleon. Well, Napoleon, right? At Napoleon's death, however, the British interfered with the election to have King Louis XVIII elected and the proper dynasty back on the throne. And let's get back to work for all, for those of you squinting. After Louis XVIII's death, the British also managed to have his brother, Charles X, elected. Nevertheless, Charles X proved to be extremely unpopular, and his behavior triggered a new revolution that saw him vanish from France. There was then some talk of installing Napoleon's son on the throne. However, the 10-year-old child was being raised in Austria, and his loyalty could not be trusted. Instead, a new, extremely popular military leader, who was widely considered to be the true heir to Napoleon's spirit, was elected. Soon after his election, King Lucien had to face a war against yet another coalition of Britain, Prussia, Russia, and Austria, and the Austrian Flanders, who were all contesting the results of the election. I would like to point out that basically the other European powers assured Napoleon, right? The reason why is because after the revolution, every other power in Europe went, we can't have the people running themselves, that's bullshit, right? Because that weakens the power of monarchy, and they actively tried to destroy them, right? So, yeah. Right? And this has happened every time the people have tried to take power anywhere, right? Right up until the American Revolution, which wasn't really the people taking power. It was more the wealthy landowners taking power. But they weren't aristocracy, so yeah. Yep, we had a series of 7 coalitions against us. Every time we beat them and signed a peace treaty, they started again. That is legitimate history. Look it up, guys. She's not kidding. That is exactly what happened. That is it. So eventually a tyrant came along and said, fuck you, I'm gonna burn everything to the ground, and that was Napoleon. That is what happens when you don't leave people the fuck alone. Anyway. Okay. France was losing the war until King Lucien revolutionized the army further than Napoleon had had the time to do. This made the new king incredibly popular in the country and consolidated his power. A peace treaty was then signed between France and the coalition, which resulted in France being given the south of the Austrian Flanders, including the city of Lille. After a few years of peace, France is now once again at war with Prussia. Yeah, that was inevitable. Gender roles. I'd put a plural there. Because of magic, there is no official gender-based discrimination. Some individuals may have very defined notions of what occupations a proper lady should and should not have, just as they do for gentlemen. The rest of the French population sees such views, C needs a plural there, such views as leftovers from the ancient regime, and so they highly disapprove of them. Neat. Yes. And actually, that is another thing that happened. Right, in the French Revolution, there was an effort to overthrow gender norms at the time, and like there usually is with proletariat revolutions. All right, see you later, Stretch. Thanks for joining me. See you. I appreciate your company. Thanks for your, thanks for being here. Yeah. So yeah, no, that's a thing, right? Like. And then, of course, the old regime comes along and reasserts things. Women are fully integrated into the army and can be in positions of power. Nevertheless, this apparent equality is weakened by several elements. Women are not called when conscription is established in time of war, although they can still volunteer. This is mainly to avoid having pregnant women involved in the battlefield. In addition, society would not recover if a whole generation were to fight and die at the same time, and some people need to stay behind to participate in the war effort. Having women be those persons is seen as just being more convenient. And that actually is a long-running issue about warfare, right? I appreciate that you've explained what conscription is, just in case. France is the only European country with a law forbidding women from leading the country as a reigning queen, the Sable Law. It was established to prevent the English kings from claiming the Kingdom of France and leading to the 100 Years' War between France and England. As a result, men are still seen as having a superior natural authority. That's also historical, if I recall correctly. I think that, wasn't that, I mean, like, that's old, isn't it? Wasn't that because, that had to do with Eleanor of Aquitaine, right? And the English kings claiming right to rule France because of their descent, being descended from Eleanor, right? Philippe le Bel, okay. Hello, Macaro, good to see you. Technology. Eleanor was a whole... After Eleanor. Eleanor was a whole previous war. Okay. Cool. Nice to see the actual French spelling, right? She's a really interesting figure. Okay, Macaro, you go ahead and write stuff. Philippe le Bel had 3 sons and a daughter, Isabel, who was married to the English king. The sons all became kings and died one after another. Gotcha. Technology, the Industrial Revolution. Burning coal can be used to magically power machines, plural, since, when animals and plants die and form coal and oil, their magic accumulates inside of them. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Cool theory of magic and technology on your world. I like that. Thanks to this, an industrial revolution is starting in Europe, slowly transforming familial crafts into big-scale manufacturer. Eleanor. I misspelled it twice. That's great. Yeah, right. So rather than Isabel's son becoming king, we found the Sable Law in old law documents. Got it. Yeah. And found a cousin of the king and put him on the throne. Yes, because English ruling the French has never worked out well. See, Amelie's got some great information, guys. This explains Canada in a nutshell. The French and the English used to be the enemies of each other's blood, right? Like, they believed they were different races of people, the stalwart English and the bellicose French and, whatever, or the, passionate French and the stick-up-their-ass English, and, yeah, you don't really understand it unless you're in France or England, right? But in Canada, we had both these cultures come together with, the various indigenous cultures, and then we all had to try to live together. That's why we're polite. Okay? That's why we're polite. Because we would murder each other if we weren't. I noticed, actually, Macaro, I stole your term starseed for the cryoships in my sci-fi setting. That's cool. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Thank you. It's cool. Yeah, thousands of years of war. Quite literally. Yep. Military technologies. Black powder and gunpowder do not work as they do in our world. The presence of magic in the air makes them too unstable and makes it impossible to control the explosion. Because of this, military technologies diverged. However, new magic-based weapons have been developed instead. These include singular is what I would put there. High-range assistance artifacts allowing mages to attack from long distances, I would say. Levitation and wind-based magic to send projectiles, plural, at enemies. Or a projectile, one of the two. 30 wars between England and France. Yep, fought more often than not. More often at war than at peace. Yep, legit. Yeah. Alchemical solutions to use as projectiles. The brand new camouflage uniform of the French army, which we have now seen it. Yep. We reviewed that last week. Glass that can allow glass that can allow to see magic up to a certain level isn't exactly correct English grammar there. I know it's I know where it comes from, but glass that allows a viewer or a user to see magic up to a certain level. Right. Thingy thing. Good night, James. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you, well, I know you'll probably see Aaron on Tuesday. I'll see you Wednesday. Yeah. Watches that can indicate where the object to which they are keyed is located. Yep, okay. Military education. The Military Engineering Corps, which we've also had a look at, right, is at the origin of those technologies, and its members are now highly regarded in the whole kingdom. This effect was enhanced by the election of one of its members as king with King Lucian, just as Napoleon's election had raised the prestige of the Artillery Corps. Makes sense. All of this is regarded with a lot of amusement by the rest of Europe, who still regard the cavalry as the best military corps. Oh, are they in for a surprise, eh? A fact that undoubtedly contributes to their incessant defeats at the hands of the isolated French kingdom. Yes, that's all historical too. Napoleon was, constantly reintroducing people to the benefits of artillery. Oh, the photo is there now? Okay, I will refresh. Nice. King Napoleon visiting the Polytechnique School in 1814. Nice. Getting into the French artillery or engineering corps is incredibly difficult. Graduation from one of the French military schools is necessary, and their entrance exams are said to ask applicants to solve mathematical problems that are barely within the knowledge of fully graduated engineers and artillerists in other countries. In order to prepare for those exams, young people will enter boarding school and will be submitted to a rigorous and grueling schooling for a minimum of 2 years before they can attempt to pass the exams. Few applicants pass on their first attempt. Makes sense? Yeah. Emily said, and when we were finally allies, England still managed to be more annoying than anything else. It's really a miracle the alliance lasted long enough for World War I. Yeah, interesting about World War I. I would love to hear more about the French take on it, right? Because I have the Canadian take, which is mostly friendly to the English, with a little bit of, let's say colonial pride, because some problems were difficult to solve until Canadians and Australians got involved, right? Or at least that's the history and perspective here, right? And then yeah, right, so I would be interested to hear more about the French perspective. Yeah. It's thanks to World War I and World War II that we're close allies with the UK now, and that war is unimaginable. Yeah, legit. Well, when you have an existential threat from an outside power, it's really much easier to put aside your differences, isn't it? Alright, which is why Canada is a thing, by the way. Canada exists because the French and British colonies here did not want to be Americans, were alarmed by American manifest destiny and aggression, and decided to band together to put a stop to them. That is why Canada exists. Okay. Which is why most Canadians are like, we're not Americans, even though we're just like Americans in a lot of ways. Okay, so... yeah, the Germans really took their place in the national hatred, the French national hatred, yeah. And before that, we had the War of 1870 that we lost against Prussia. Prussia, of course, being a precursor to Germany, not exactly, but sorta. Yeah, I get it. The theft of the departments of Alsace-Lorraine was terrible for French people. We studied that in my history class, right? And all children were we're told about it in school and how we should get it back. That's why everyone was only waiting for the occasion when World War I started. Yeah, we were taught about that, yeah. Very good, I think as far as North Americans' perspective on Alsace-Lorraine could have been, we were quite familiar, so yeah. You'll be happy to know. Alright. Silicone. In actual history, silicone atoms were first isolated in 1824, and materials made with silicone were studied during the rest of the 19th century. However, it was not until the 1940s that a good technique was found that allowed the production of silicone polymers on an industrial scale. In this world, the extensive funding provided by King Lucien and the political and military interest in the subject allowed for the earlier development of silicone polymers. Makes sense? Combining them with magic allowed for the creation of material with very interesting properties. See Engineering Corps uniform. That's great. This is very helpful in terms of laying out the history. Calutan says, no offense, Amelie. In Poland, we make jokes that French tanks used to have 1 forward gear and 4 reverse gears. Amelie says that's because of the Americans and all of their jokes about World War II. Right? Amelie says the British fled and left us all alone, and then they complained that we didn't fight and let all of our people die. And they make films about Dunkirk, a French city with showing barely any French people, so that all of them can continue to believe that they fought all alone. 95% of films out there about World War II are American propaganda. The other 5% are British propaganda, right? Yeah, it's an issue I have some feelings about, right? The belief in Hollywood is that we just want to tell a story that's going to appeal to our audience. So we're not particularly concerned about accuracy or who we're going to piss off or, you know, historical record or any of that information, right? They'll do things like take things Canadians did, rewrite all the characters as Americans, and then claim credit for it. Right? They'll do things like claim that basically if it wasn't for the Americans riding to the rescue in World War II, the war was over, right? American involvement in World War II did significantly turn the tide of the event, but it's not like other people were sitting there waiting to be rescued, and that is the impression that a lot of these things give, right? I think that in the limited Canadian film production about it, you get a more friendly and realistic perspective of what was going on with France at the time. Look, okay, right? There's Germany, there's France, right? They didn't have any chance to defend themselves, right? The English were there and were supposed to defend, and Emily is right. That they were given an order basically to fall back because they were too far extended and could not successfully defend France and the UK, right? So, and there were political reasons for that, and there were military reasons for that, and cowardice was not one of those reasons, right? But at the same time, I can understand the French anger about it, and, you know, but neither did the French just sit there and allow themselves to be walked over, right? Read stuff about the French resistance sometime. It's amazing, the heroism that was there, right? But nobody knew exactly how bad the threat of Hitler was until it had already happened, right? They were taken, you know, they just didn't have the means to protect themselves against the massive war machine that came out of Germany at that time, right? And nobody would have, right? And it's not like they rolled over and let themselves be run over, right? Okay, so. Yeah, that's right. Author Goddess says French resistance is the stuff of legends. Yes, like Argo. Author Goddess. That is the primary example I was thinking of. It's not the only one, right? I forget the name of a movie they recently made where there were Americans escorting a British supply convoy in some submarine movie, and nope, there were no Americans doing that. That was all Canadians, motherfuckers. Right? Americans were too busy fighting Japanese, but they didn't have time to escort British convoys, okay? Right? Yeah. So, it's not malicious, it's not intentional, right? It's partially that Hollywood believes they should tell stories where their protagonists are Americans because American audiences can't seem to identify with anybody who isn't. Probably not wrong, and the American military will fund pro-American military films. So, yeah. Doesn't Canada have its own propaganda? Of course we do. You just don't hear it as much. Yes, of course we do, Kayatan. We absolutely, every nation has its own propaganda. You bet. Right? I agree, Emily. Different ways we're taught about history in different countries is really interesting, right? And occasionally insulting. Just the way people talk about Napoleon is fascinating. It's true. It's very interesting. That's why you should always read multiple sources. Okay. Yeah. We should really have I'm going to hold off this conversation, guys, because I could be here for quite a long time. I've done a lot of reading on war history, and World War II in particular, I've done a fair bit of research about because I'm drawing from a lot of things in real-world history for my interstellar histories, like patterns and whatnot. So, yeah, I would talk for the rest of the session here, and I want to get to Author Goddess's article, and I love the CSS on this, by the way. This is beautiful with the picture, the cover picture, and the art, and the background. This is great, right? But, yeah, maybe we'll save that for the celebration stream if people want to do it. And I invite people to actually tell their perspective on World War II and their country's role in it. And I invite other people to listen with an open mind, because you will quickly learn that everybody's a hero in their own way, and everybody's a villain too, right? Don't think that atrocities didn't happen on the other side as well, right? History is written by the victors, right? By the way, do Americans remember that World War II started in Poland? Kayetan, yes. I think they do. Maybe. I don't know about what Americans... I don't know. I know that in Canada we are taught that, right? But it's not given in detail, right? It's like, yeah, Germany invaded Poland, starting off World War II and violating a bunch of treaties, and so we went to war. And that's it, right? It's really insufficient. I would love to know more about Poland's war experience in there. Yeah, legit. Author Goddess says Americans don't often realize we sat out most of World War II. Legit. And that's also a good point. Emily says it's also horrifying to see how popular Nazis' ideas were all over Europe and the US and Canada. I will add our guilt to that. Before the war. Nobody fought World War II to save the Jews, guys. Right? This idea of we're rescuing people from the Holocaust? Bullshit. Right? Absolute utter crap. If you got that impression, wipe it right out of your head. It was all about politics. Nobody gave a shit about anybody in the concentration camps. They didn't even, to a large extent, realize what was going on, or kind of deliberately turned a blind eye to it until after it had happened, right? And then when World War II was over, and a bunch of, and people were trying to go and make, new homes because everything they had in their country of origin was destroyed, nobody wanted Jewish immigrants, right? They turned them away on ships, they turned them away over the borders, and thus led to the rise of Israel, because Jews went, well, fuck you, if none of you want us, we'll go make our own home, we'll go take Jerusalem back, which was supported by first the British and then the Americans for political reasons, namely having a potential ally in the middle of a bunch of Arabic powers to control oil, right, leading to the current situation with genocide against Palestinians. This is why you should study history. Nothing exists without a cause. Yeah, legit, Rowan. I will send a... okay. But anyway, I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to read... Okay, this is actually from a short story that Author Goddess wrote, and I love this short story. Right? And, yeah. Here is her information on her Dragon Rider suit, which I think is a great idea. The flight suit of a Dragon Rider on lore is a combination of a pilot's flight suit and a cowboy's riding gear. That's awesome. Dragon Rider, people who trained to ride and care for dragons, used as guards for hire when crossing the Badlands. Lore, a desert planet with human colonization. This is perhaps logical, given that a Dragon Rider rides a dragon much like a horse, but with all the added dangers of flight. Genetically modified creatures on lore. The flight suit consists of a loose, breathable shirt made of iron reeds fiber, a durable native grass, short pants made of a moisture-wicking material to prevent chafing, good idea, heavy canvas pants with multiple pockets, chaps made of dragon leather. Is that an article? Interesting. Ah, doesn't exist. Oh, picture. Got it. Cool. dragon leather flight jacket. Oh, cool. Okay, we have images. Neat. A dragon leather helmet with a chin strap and full or partial face cover. That's cool. I like how this looks like leather. That's great. Dragon leather boots, dragon leather gloves. History and major changes. I might put a note here saying that these are image links. Like put image link, image link, image link, right? Because people, I guess other people on World Anvil tend to put the images directly in the article. I see why you have not done that. That would be kind of a... Unless you wanted to use columns, right? Because you could do that and put 3 columns there. Let me show you how you would do that if you wanted to do it. Okay, hold on a minute. What is that article? Okay, let's do ensign, Toysoldier, soccer. Okay. Yeah, the only remark I have is that the reader doesn't know to click to see the images. Exactly, right? So this is why I'm saying you might want to put image link in brackets so that people know they have to click on it, right? Or you might want to do something like this. This is a 3-column layout of a bunch of different variations of the ensign uniform. You can do either 2 or 3 columns. You have 3 separate things that you have included an image of. You might be able to put them in boxes like this. If you're interested in that, let me know. I will open up this article and edit it, and I will show you my BB code that I did. Right? I will put that in the chat so that you can see it. Okay, moving on. History and major changes. Yeah, or a gallery would also work. How you make a gallery is that you create a directory in your images and files. You put the pictures you want in the gallery there, right? And then you can, it'll give you a block link that you can use to flip through a gallery. I do have one. Let's see, where's my Avalonian Imperial Navy link? There it is. Carousel, yeah. It's also, yeah, and it's a carousel code, so you could do something like this. There's my carousel of various Navy uniforms, where you can click through and see them all. Which is probably what I'm going to do with some of my gunslinger uniforms. Right, so you get the idea. Okay, so if either one of those interests you, let me know. I will give you the BB code to do it. Or you can look in the article edit screen and click on the, where is it here? This thing, design tags reference in the sidebar. And then it'll show you how to do that in this here, right? You may not be able to do the columns at your level of membership, I just realized. But, I don't know. Anyway, you should be able to find it in there. There's one that says carousel or gallery, I think, and then there's the one that does. But either way. Okay. Yeah, it should be in the image help. Okay. The flight suits began as nearly identical, typo there, AL at the end of identical, to piloting flight suits for planet-bound vehicles. However, there were several problems with the design that immediately arose. Okay. Firstly, piloting flight suits are designed for chair-sitting pilots, though the chair or helm designs might vary widely. Dragon Riders are, however, riders first. The lack of support and protection for the skin of the inner thighs and groin proved to be incapacitating on any journey of more than a few days. Right. Worse, the sand-filled air of the Badlands also contained extramorphile fungus spores that caused infections. Sufferers of saddle spores were equally likely to die, become permanently disabled, or fully recover. Yikes. Okay. Subcutaneous fungal infection common to dragon riders and found in the dusty air of the Badlands. Badlands, the harsh scrub-covered desert that covers most of Lore's surface. Okay. Because of this, chaps and undershorts were added to the flight suit. Makes sense. That's the sprint. Secondly, the heat of the Badlands is significant, so a lighter shirt was switched out to allow for some breathability when the flight suit or the flight jacket is opened while on the ground. This counters much of the weight of the Dragon Rider's outfit. Since the atmosphere does not trap heat quite as efficiently as Earth, the excessive heat is not as much of a factor during flight. Ah, makes sense. So the heat is caused by the radiation from the ground. Okay, perfect. I get it. Dragon leather itself was one of the earliest adjustments. The creation of giant pangolins and the discovery of pepper cactus peppers combined to create a soft but durable leather without any added chafing. Genetically modified pangolins used as common mounts, that makes sense. Discovery of pepper cactus, succulent with extremely hot fruit, used in processing dragon leather. Were you recreated by purple peppers? It's awesome. Dragon Riders Guild, the Union of Dragon Riders. Worldbuilding, Aurelia, a Dragon Rider. Yeah. The additional discovery of iron reeds allowed for the nearly indestructible but soft fabric for the undershirt. This allowed Dragon Riders to require less clothing space in their pockets when traveling. Finally, the elimination of the parachute led to the modern version of the flight suit. The thinner atmosphere, primarily composed of a less dense mixture of gases, requires a larger parachute for the person using it. For a Dragon Rider, the amount of space taken up by the huge parachutes was too big a trade-off for the limited need they have for the chute. Yeah, it makes sense. The chances of a rider falling off a dragon in flight is extremely low. Additionally, a well-trained dragon will likely attempt to catch their rider unless the rider has adversely affected the Dragon-Rider relationship. Such a rider often loses, you need the S there, their dragon before any accidental fall. The dragon simply leaves the rider. Rarely, a dragon might remain loose long enough to become feral. Neat. Hello Eli, welcome back. Mechanics and inner workings. A part of a Dragon Rider's training is learning how to live out of their flight suit. They always have their pockets full of their few personal and hygiene items. Significance. Only a trained Dragon Rider who has earned a dragon wears the flight suit. We have an article here on dragon leather. That's great. I think we're also going to need an article on iron reeds. And over here, item clothing, item type clothing accessory. Oh, a Dragon Rider from the first colonial exodus, the first wave of colonials to leave the city in search of new settlements. Cool. Current location lore, current Boulder Aurelia, Orming Organization, Dragon Riders Guild. Raw materials and components, the majority of the material is dragon leather. The rest is heat-resistant metal, grommets, buckles, etc. I think that's great. Yeah, I think this is ready for submission, right? You can, there's still lots of time for the challenge, so if you have things you want to edit afterwards, Sarah, you can do that, right? Like I said, you might want an article on, like a brief one on the iron reeds, but this is really cool. Yeah, it's got everything it requires, right? Like I said, you might also want to put in brackets image link. Yeah, I believe the Iron Reeds article is the only directly linked one that isn't done. Fair enough, right? You might also want to, but instead of that, you could also include them as like images in the article, or add to the carousel if you refresh. Okay, let's have a look. I already liked this article, so I can't like it again, but I'll definitely check it out. Aha! There you go. Cool. Okay, I think you're ready to rock and roll. And that's the get back to work growl. We have one last sprint before the end of the stream. Yeah, you can change the title of the image so that you don't have the PNG appearing. Can you? Because it didn't work for me. Let's see here. For fuck's sake, I don't know what I'm doing here. Right, okay. Oh yeah. I mean, I gave all these images titles, but they don't work. Okay. Okay, so these are my Navy uniforms. Oh, I didn't give them a title. Well, I would explain why. Okay. Thought I had, but whatever. There might have been a reason why I didn't do it. And it might have had something to do with the way they appear in my columns. You can also just delete the ping on the image name. You can change the top field. Okay. Yeah, I've done this a couple times, but I didn't realize you could get rid of the PNG. Alright, I'm switching back to Weird West so I can edit my gunslingers. Thanks, guys. I appreciate the guidance. Okay, I submitted it. Promptly dies in panic shame. You will be fine. Make sure to share it wherever you get the chance so that people will support it with, you know, likes. Right? Because that's how you get on the short list. Do I think there should be a separate Freeman League for challenges? In the current system, they can't win anything because the CSS design is an important part of the challenges, or at least make CSS don't count, just the world building. It's not required. It isn't supposed to be part of the challenges, and yet it does seem to often have an effect on judges because appearance of the article tends to matter, yes. Obviously, the people with better access to CSS have a habit of being able to make their article prettier, and the people who are better at CSS tend to have a habit of making their article prettier. On the other hand, my ability with CSS has not changed much at all in the course of things, and I tend to do better in challenges now than I did when I started because I have a better idea of aesthetics, right? And because more people know who I am, because let's face it, it's likes, right? People kind of have to know who you are. So it depends on what kind of, community you've built within the community, right? So that said, do I think that there should be a separate Freeman League for the challenges? Yes. Because I do think that, it's not essential, but it seems like the people who are better at CSS do tend to win more often. And therefore, for the same reasons that we have, if you've won an article already, like won a challenge already, you're in a different league from the people who have not. I think that's worth checking. Kayatan, why don't you submit it as an Anvil Coins feature suggestion, right? And I will back it if you do. Because I'm sure a lot of people probably agree with you. That also is a good point, Emily, and you're not wrong, right? Emily says, I've seen good articles from Freeman and bad articles from guild members, right? It's also because people who pay for World Anvil tend to have been around for longer, to be more experienced and more invested, and all of that is true, right? Communityception, says Heel. Hey there, Heel, how are you? I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah. I see an argument for it, is what I'm saying, right? I felt very frustrated when I was first starting out too, and I was already a guild member, right? So, but, in part, that's just people gotta get to know you. So, which is why this whole stream community is really good. People know you, Kayatan, people know Author Goddess, so, yeah, right? But I do see your point, and it might be worth bringing up. Okay, I am going to create a new gallery called Gunslinger Uniforms. And I'm going to create another gallery called Desperado Uniforms. And thank you for reminding me that I could use galleries, because for some reason that wasn't occurring to me, even though I have already done that, like in the Navy article there. I'm good, says Heel. That's good. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, Emily points out a lot of the Freemen are new to the community and are writing their first articles. Incidentally, Author Goddess, I don't think you have anything to worry about, even in competition with, you know, fancy CSS shit, because your article looks really nice. So I think you're fine. Rowan says, before the gaming group starts asking, are we all good for game tonight? Yes, we are. We are go. Heel says, to be fair, CSS formatting is a massive part of writing. It's often better to have odd wording if it looks better on the page. Eli's taking the rest of the day off. I have to leave to go home soon and I don't feel like writing in the car today. You know what? You gotta take a day off every once in a while. I know they say write every day, but they mean make a habit of writing, not be a slave to it. Sometimes you do have to take a break and go do things with your life. Heel has a point in that sometimes I will change the phrasing of a sentence so I don't end up with one dangling participle over in another column or something. But I do that whether I'm writing novels or articles for World Anvil. So. Okay, now. What is this now? I didn't think I'd saved this one. Okay, see you later, Eli. Just in case you didn't hear, the vote's been done. We've decided that the celebration, 500 followers celebration stream will be happening on Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UTC. Yes. I feel like this lost some information here. Need me as soon as possible after the stream. Ah, okay. Kaitan made his suggestion. Supported, as I said I would. Alright gang, thank you very much for joining me today. I did a lot of procrastinating, but I had a great time. We got everyone's showcases seen to. I think we were helpful. Don't forget that we're going to be back in Okay, yeah, discussing that issue there, Emily, right? One article might decide it was more important than the other, the appearance. I try very hard not to take that into too much consideration if I'm judging a challenge. I really do try to go for world building, but if I have to choose between two equally brilliant world building articles, I am gonna pick the one that looks best. And that's because I have to make a parse somewhere, and a lot of times people are really, really good at what they do, right? So, you know, right, I can see the argument, that's why I supported it, right? Okay, we're going to be back in 2 hours for, that is two hours, count them, 1, 2, right? We're going to be back at 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, that's what, 1 a.m. UTC for Toysoldiers Old School. It's episode 44, right? And we are good to go for that, according to Aaron. We're all set up. We shouldn't have any streaming problems, so bonus. Other than that, we're back on Monday is our day off. We'll be back on Tuesday with Ask an Old GM at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. UTC. All right, and then I am back on Wednesday for Diane Wrights at the same time. Yeah, our 500 follower celebration is coming up on the 24th of May, Monday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and 8 p.m. UTC, as voted by you. All right, it's been a pleasure, guys. Have a great day. I'm going to see who's on so we can see who we're going to raid. All right, this is like the blank World Anvil hour. I don't see Rabbit Candy Void. They said they were going to be up. Am I not subscribed to that? Maybe I'm not. They are alive. We're going to raid Rabbit Candy Void. I've never seen their stream, and I guess I'm not even following them on Twitch yet, which is kind of stupid considering that they're like, oh no, I'm following. It's just that for some reason they're not showing up on my sidebar, which is kind of bullshit, and I'm not sure why. But we're going to raid them. I've never done that. I don't know what their stream's like. Don't forget our raid shout, which is prepare to be boarded because we are the Sable's privateers. Yeah. Rabbit Candy Void. I'll see you in a couple hours, guys.